Away, oh hey, away, oh hey, hey, oh. Away, oh hey, 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 away, oh hey, 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 away, oh hey, hey, away, oh hey, hey.
My people are from Labrador, northern Labrador. My mother was born on a small whaling island off the coast of Labrador called Spotted Island. And that was their summer home. That's where she was born. When she was young, I believe 4, her father died. And so she was forced into the residential school. And her brother and sister were already there. They were older. And when Mom's dad died, her mom ended up having to work at that school as a cook. And so they were there for 4 years. My mom was there for 4 years. Her brother and sister were there longer. And they were never allowed to see their mother or to wave to her, to speak to her. She was never allowed to they were never allowed to have any contact. And because they were there year-round, that was 4 years in the school with barely any contact with each other, let alone their mom. So their mother married a white man and moved far away from Labrador to get her kids out of the residential school. And she moved them into a white community and would not tolerate anyone accusing them of being Native. Mm-hmm. So my mother would have been around 8 years old then, 7 or 8. And so that was her experience, is going from a warm, loving family and sense of community to a very stark, non-Native community that operated very differently. And she would speak of being targeted by the community children because they were very clearly different. What I can say for myself, because she got married and had us, and we continued to live in a white community. And that was our experience as well. We were always targeted because we weren't one of them. We didn't fit. Mm-hmm. And that was really difficult because we didn't have any connection to any Native community because, we were in a completely different province now as well. And we didn't have any connection to any local Native communities. I was 39 years old before I experienced my first ceremony. Mm. I only learned the English language, and it does not have the vocabulary that resonates with who and what I am. I didn't just look different, I was different. And that's a very painful thing to be as a child and a young adult. We have no connection to our Inuit history. The Mi'kmaq close to the community that we live in embraced us and taught us their culture and accepted us. Being so far away, and I still don't have any status. My family doesn't have any status. And I didn't always realize how important that was because on many levels, I could accept not belonging in the non-Native community. I have a hard time feeling like I don't belong in the Native community, and that has left me in a limbo my whole life. And that that's out of my hands right now, and that's okay. I have learned that my father's people, many of them came from Mi'kmaq in the Yarmouth area, so at least I feel even more connected to the Mi'kmaq culture. One of my grandchildren got her spirit name when she was 3 weeks old. That was so profound for me, to see my grandchildren learning who they are. We still live in a non-native community, and so there are those same realities for my grandchildren. When my mother and I would go into the schools during Mi'kmaq History Month and do presentations, one of my granddaughters said, "Nanny, if you come to my school, please don't come to my class. And if you come to my class, please don't tell them you're my nanny." Because she didn't want to risk being called the name she sometimes heard me be called. And so, as much as they are a lot more acquainted with who and what they are, there's still a lot of fearfulness for being that. But it's something that we're working on, and so I keep using that to motivate me, to keep trying to do the work, to keep trying to make this world a safer place for my great-grandchildren or my great-great-grandchildren, so that they won't know that limbo and that fearfulness of being who and what they are. One of the things that my mother believed with us being Native and living and working in a non-Native community is that maybe in many ways we could be a bridge between the people. And so it really mattered to her to go into the schools whenever we were invited, and teach them who and what we are. We even had one elementary school child, at the end of the day, he came running up to us before running out to his bus saying, "When I grow up, I want to be Mi'kmaq." But in doing that work and being out in the community, we've also been invited by the staff of our local courthouse. So all the sheriffs and every person on staff, save the judges, asked us to go in and do a smudge ceremony with them in a talking circle. And they provided us with some of our traditional foods for lunch, and it was really beautiful. And more, we're getting invited. My mom struggles with it now a little bit more as she's older, but more and more we're being asked to go into different professional settings and teach them, because we feel that teaching in a kind and gentle way is the way that people listen and learn and become, more interested in learning more. So we've always tried to take things in and show them and teach them our, the 7 sacred teachings, and I've just joined another committee in my professional life, and they said, "Oh, we need to bring in the Mi'kmaq community," and I said, "You can't. You're not ready. You don't know how to welcome them. You don't know. You can't ask minority people to come into this very white setting and expect them to act white." And so I wrote a Native protocol just sort of around that. And so this new committee, they each have a copy now, and they requested a blanket exercise. So I'm hopeful that, more and more people will learn and understand and move through their fear, because I think a lot of the troubles between the cultures are we're afraid of each other, and And so I've worked very hard most of my life to be sort of that safe bridge where people can find something that they're looking for that is meaningful to them, that they can go home and teach their children or their family or their community. That keeps both sides safer. Nice. I am the executive director of a men's intervention program working on the issues of domestic violence. So what I've found both in that work and the work I do cross-culturally, for whatever reason that work chose me. It's not anything that I intentionally sought to do. But I work with the men in the native circle setting, and I listen to them and I support them, and I give them permission to choose to be the man they want to be and not the men that they felt condemned to be. And then I teach them the skills once they've identified who that man is. Then I teach them the skills that they need to achieve that.
Away, oh, hi, hey, yo.